Hello there. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Brianna Danielle, Mindset and Success Coach. So glad to have you back to my channel. So in today's video, I want to chat with you a little bit about the healing journey. So I have been on a healing journey. I've been trying to, and I will say successfully, take care of some past traumatic situations that have kind of remained within me. And what I mean by that is there is evidence that the body retains information and experiences subconsciously, and that it is in your cellular memory. Sometimes it can be in your tissues, your organs, these experiences. And that's how we manifest different diseases and sicknesses and illnesses, because we haven't necessarily processed out that traumatic experience. So I've had my share of situations that were unfavorable, like childhood abuse. Let me say childhood molestation and domestic violence as a young adult, an adult. And one of the things I had to work on once I got out of those situations was having a healthy frame of mind. Having a healthy frame of mind so that I could move toward like the good things in life. I don't know about you, but one of the reasons why I wanted to get into coaching is because, number one, I've been through something myself and I understand how it feels to feel alone, to feel like there's no one there for you, and looking for resources to help you. So I know how it feels to want to have resources available. And if people don't talk about the things that we have been through as a people, as a group, as a community, there's not information for the next person who unfortunately experiences those things to learn from. So I said, I'll do it. I volunteer. I'll be a guinea pig. I'll share some of my experiences and most importantly, how I was able to move past them. That's the key here. Things happen to people a lot. We are not going to stop the whole world from doing negative things to other people, but I mean, that would be great if like it was like a ceasefire. If it was like a cease the foolishness. Let's just stop the foolishness. Let's just stop it. But anyway, so again, when you're on this healing journey, it's so important to find honesty, to find clarity. A lot of people get stuck at this point, the honesty and the clarity part, because they don't want to admit what has happened because it's painful. It hurts. It hurts to admit that you've been violated. It hurts to relive those moments, to explain to someone else what has happened to you. It hurts so bad. And it makes us have strange behaviors. Like when I was younger, I didn't tell anybody about what happened to me until I was like in my 20s. So when I was younger, I kept it all in. I thought it was going to cause a family war. So I kept quiet. And as a result, it's like I lost my voice. I lost my voice and I started to like go into like this shell. I went into this shell to where I was antisocial. I didn't say anything to people. I didn't do a lot of things. There were a lot of opportunities that I could have taken, but because I was so fearful of people finding out, I felt like I wore what happened to me on my body. Like people could see it. I was like, they're gonna know, they're gonna find out. They're gonna find out. It's gonna be horrible. The whole family's gonna just be in an uproar. It's a horrible situation. And that was just a lie the devil told me, to keep me hidden, to keep my gifts and talents hidden, and to keep me in a place of fear and frustration and just anger, bitterness. So I remember joining church at 13. I was like, Lord, if you could take this pain away, that would be so awesome. I would be in the Lord's army. And I felt that once I decided I didn't want it anymore, the pain, the frustration, it did go away. I was able to cope with life. I started to like smile again. I wasn't even smiling. I was just so angry and upset. I wasn't even smiling. I was just quiet. I was quiet and I was very reserved. I wanted so bad to speak up for a lot of things, but I was so ashamed of what happened. So I just stayed quiet. I don't know about you guys, but it made me feel shameful. if you will. And I was like, you know what? I'm sick of feeling like this. So fast forward, I'm remarried now. Hey, honey. Shout out to my honey. Hey, honey. But initially, toward the end of my first marriage, it was abusive. Initially, it was fine. Everything was fine. My grandmother, after we divorced, she was like, people can only pretend for so long, honey. I was like, you got that right. But that experience, because abuse comes to you in a way that it's not always super fast. It slowly builds. It slowly builds until it's this thing. It starts off as one thing, and then it continues to another, and to another, and to another, and to another. Before you know it, I'm like, I'm not trying to go to jail, but I'm going to jail. Put your hands on me one more time, you know? Anyway, I was so glad to be done with that part of, well, that with relationship with him. A lot of things happened during that time that I wasn't happy about, but I felt safe and I felt like nobody was gonna lose their life that day. Because I'm from like inner city. I'm like, I'm about to call my, hey yo, can you come handle this for me? I was calling people. I was trying to get that situation handled. And I didn't even care. That's the sad part. That's the sad part. It destroys a lot of lives. So anyway, when you're on your emotional journey and you're trying to get yourself back to who you truly are, you need tools and resources. You need help. That's one thing I realized I needed help. My mom's books in the attic, she's a psychologist back then, were helpful. I didn't read those books, but I also went to get counseling. And I also found me a good mentor I could talk to, you know, and a good coach, because I wanted to take myself from where I was to a new place. And the best way to do that is to find someone who has gone from your point A to your point B. Like, I want this change. I can't do this by myself. And along the way, I found a lot of things that are helpful. And one of them was journaling. So when I was very young, my mother didn't know, she didn't know what was going on, neither did my father. But my mom was like, I don't know. You could always tell me. You could always tell me. And I was like, mom's the word. I'm not saying anything. And she said, so one day she came back to me and she was like, how about this? How about if you just write a poem about how you feel? I was like, poetry? I love poetry, you know? She was like, it's a good way to express yourself. And so she gave me some poetry. I think like Nikki Giovanni was some of the poets. And then she gave me different, you know, different various pieces of poetry. And then she also got me a journal. And she said, if you don't want to talk, I'm almost getting teary. I think about that. She said, if you don't want to talk about it, maybe if you write about it, it can help cleanse your mind of it. And you can always go back to revisit it again if you need to. So I was like, all right. So I started to journal. That was about 9 years old then. So I started to journal. And I love to journal because I can just tell everything. I can tell everything. And I started to write my journals like, Dear God. And I would tell God, kind of like, was that silly in color purple? Yeah. Dear God, all these things have happened. I love you, Brianna. That's how I was signing like that at the end. But it was my way of just saying, hey, this is what I'm going through. But it was so therapeutic to finally like, whew, let me get it out. So fast forward again, I read this book about, you know, changing your life and coaching yourself to success and different things like that. And it reminded me back to when I was trying to get my life back into a happy place. You know, when you've been broken and tired for a long time, you want to just feel better. And that's why people sometimes, in my opinion, I'm not a psychologist, I'm just a life coach, but in my opinion, that's why some people push themselves toward drugs, alcohol, sex, overeating, anything that will help them feel better momentarily. And you know it only lasts for a moment. So what do? You go back and go get it. You go back and you get it again. And again and again and again and again, and again. Addiction. I was addicted to food. That was my feel good. I was way bigger than what I am now. Because I was addicted to food. And I had like a routine on which days of the week I would eat what by myself. I don't need nobody. No, I don't need you to go out to dinner with me. I take myself to dinner. Okay. because I had like I had a food addiction. It's what I used to feel better. Because I don't drink, I don't smoke. I've been married for forever. It's only, marital sex. I wasn't out there wilding out. So food was my drug. And I overate and I stuffed myself silly. And it got to a point where I was like, ugh, girl, do something. What are you doing? What are you doing? And I noticed that when I was doing that, I wasn't journaling. I wasn't using my tools. And I found something to comfort me that wasn't aligned to benefit of myself. So I overate. So I took this course from this lady, and it was all about using your talents and your gifts to make a business. And I was like, Lord, what's my talent? What's my gift? What's my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? Because I worked as an educator. I worked different places. And I said, this time around, let me do something for you. Let me do something that's God breathed. Let me do something that will honor you. How can I help your people here? And I realized that a lot of us who have been through emotional stress, if we've been abused, if we've been like physically abused, sexually abused, if we've been emotionally abused, if we've been through any kind of trauma, a close relative died that was like your caregiver, and they passed away when you were very young. So you were left alone. You were left alone to fend for yourself. And maybe you had to go to foster care, or I don't know whose story this is. I'm just saying, like, different things happen to different people. So I was asking him, what should I do? And it was just so interesting to me that it was just like, use your voice and use your story to help people, because you have experienced a lot of different things. You've experienced molestation, you've experienced abuse, you've experienced being really poor, like because of life's ups and downs, you've experienced those things. So why not help someone navigate out of it? And for a long time, I would never have shared this story. Like I've not even really shared the whole thing, y'all. This is just a bit of it. But it's just like, do something for somebody else. So I was thinking about creating something to sell, but I wanted it to be something that when somebody picks this thing up, I'm gonna show you what it is in a minute. When somebody picks this thing up from beginning to the end, it's gonna get their life, it's gonna snatch their life back. Because there's work involved in healing. A lot of us don't do the work because we're in pain. We're in pain because when we're doing the work, it's painful, it's stressful, but you can't get around doing the work. Trust me, I tried it. I've tried it. You have to go through. You cannot go around. There is no detour. You have to do the work. And a lot of us shy away from it. So I created a tool to use for myself that it's for everyone else. But it's this journal right here. It's called Guided Journal for Women, Satisfying the Soul. Prompts to build confidence, discover your greatness, and realize you are more than enough in 90 days. It's a 3-month journal. Now, it's filled with different things like this is a quote from the first page. The soul always knows what to do to heal itself. The challenge is to silence the mind. That right there is like, it sets up this whole journal. Like seriously, the soul always knows what to do to heal itself.